All right. Recognized as one of the most multicultural and metropolitan cities in Japan, Osaka, the third most popular city in the country, and here in 2025, it plays host to the X Games. Welcome everyone inside the Kyocera Dome, which opened in 1997, which is usually home to a Pacific League baseball team. But today it showcases some of the best stars in the world of action sports as we get set to bring you BMX Street Playoff. Welcome everyone, Jimmy Coleman here alongside Scotty Kramer. And well, Scotty, when it comes to BMX Street, this one is all about style, it's all about finesse, and of course, that technicality.
Yeah, we have the best riders in the world, and there's so many different styles of BMX Street that you guys are going to see today. And we have the best out there, the greatest of all time, Garrett Reynolds, of course, and we're going to be talking about him a lot today. I'm super excited to see what he comes up with.
Looking at Kevin Peraza right there. He's got back-to-back gold medal performances in this event. Boyd Hilder, who won 2 years ago at X Games Japan. And of course, as you just mentioned, Scotty, Garrett Reynolds, who has a total of 14 X Games gold medals.
Yeah, so Garrett Reynolds, I mean, he is from New Jersey originally. He grew up riding my parents' skate park, so I know him very well. And I believe he is the most talented BMX rider on the planet that ever has been, honestly. And then you also have another rider like Kevin Peraza, who is going to be riding in today's competition. And it's going to be a completely different clash of styles between here. And this course it's got a little bit of everything. There's going to be some transitions. There's going to be a lot of rails. So I'm really curious to see how this is going to play out for the competition today.
Well, this is how it works in BMX Street Playoff. There's 8 athletes. You're going to get 2 runs here, which is not a lot. So they're 45 seconds in length. So you've got 2 chances to try to impress the judges, and only half of the field are going to advance to the final. Once those top 4 are named, we erase the score. We start it all over again. You get 2 more runs. Best run counts. That's hopefully having you stand on the podium here inside the Kyocera Dome. See the fans packing the house here, and again, there's a lot of options out here on the course. We're going to start it off with an X Games rookie, Sosuke Hayata, who got it as an alternate when Lewis Mills dropped out of the competition. But we have a couple of returning gold medalists in the field: Kevin Peraza, Boyd Hilder, and Garrett Reynolds. Scotty.
Yeah, we have a seriously stacked competition today. And I'm looking at this list right here, and I'm seeing every one of these riders, and I see all what they're capable of, and it's going to be insane to see how they approach this course. As we're looking at this shot, you can see this crazy 36-foot long ledge rail that's going to be across there. You're going to see a lot of stuff from that man right there, Courage Adams, going across that. It's going to be pretty crazy. Yeah,
it's like a crazy plexiglass roller, which I'm imagining we'll see quite a few interesting manual lines off of that one. I mentioned Garrett's 14 gold medals. Those 14 are all in this event. He has 14 golds in street, 16 total, because the other 2 come from real BMX. As we started off with our X Games rookie, and he's only 14 years old. This is Sosuke Hayata.
Oh, this is so cool to see him riding X Games here in Japan. So he's actually gone viral in the BMX community on Instagram. Everybody has seen him. They love watching his riding. My little brother, Matty Kramer, he is obsessed with his riding because he makes everything look so good. And you can see how he's just in such control of everything. Everything's so calculated, when he's landing with his style on it. So really cool to see him show up at this competition today and be able to ride in front of Japan. How cool is that?
Yeah, he actually came to the last 2 X Games Japan to watch it. He wrote Felix Prangenberg a letter and gave it to him in person at X Games Japan in 2023. And Felix was actually his guardian until his parents arrived in Osaka this week as well. So the parents are definitely supportive, but how awesome is that? Okay, here, Felix, we're giving you the reins. Take care of him for the week.
No, Felix, he's such a cool guy, and I can completely understand why they felt comfortable with that. But look at him riding on this big ledge that we were talking about. A nice truck driver throwing it off there. So you're going to notice his bike is a little bit smaller than the rest of the riders. So he rides an 18-inch wheels, and the rest of the guys are going to be riding 20-inch wheels. So he's a little bit smaller, and I think eventually he's going to move on to that 20-inch. And either way, he's going to look pro on both.
I mean, when you're 14 years old, do you really have pressure? You're probably just stoked that your name got called and you get to come up here and ride with your heroes. But that was pretty darn impressive for a 14-year-old to be the first guy in a pro contest on an international television broadcast audience. as we take our first look at Cologne, Germany's Felix Prangenberg. He owns 3 total medals in this event. They all happen to be silver.
Yeah, the Guardian on course right now, looking like looking like he knows what he's doing. Well, you trust this guy, right? But the truth is, Felix is an absolutely amazing rider with such a unique style. Look at that toothpick to hard 180 right there. Such momentum in his riding, like really aggressive, but so smooth at the same time, and very balanced with his trick list. Oh, look at that. Using the course to its fullest right there, putting an original touch on it.
Coming down to the last couple of seconds, he'll have time for one more, and a solid first outing there for Felix Prangenberg. He also owns a real BMX Gold as well. That one came in World of X Games Real BMX in 2021.
Yeah, he's had so many amazing video parts. I totally recommend all these guys. If you guys are interested in the sport, just check out their names and go and search them online and go see their video parts, because it's unbelievable what they do on the real streets.
I didn't see that
right
foot
here.
plant combo at real time speed.
Yeah.
That was nifty.
Yeah, he had a lot of really creative tricks that were in the line. What's really cool about this, I know there's a lot of street riders that don't want to see the transitions on here, but you could just use it and put a little stylish turnaround to get to the next obstacle, which I think Felix does a great job with.
So a 78 for Felix, that'll put him in the top spot for now. Remember, 8 riders, the top 4 moving on as we bring in Jordan Godwin, coming off of a silver medal performance at X Games Ventura back in 2024.
Oh, he absolutely destroyed that event. And this is another rider, you got to go check out his video parts. They are insane. Look at him switching his feet up. He's right foot forward right there. And now he's back to left foot forward. And you'll see that with a few of the guys. So they do that to mix it up and be able to, you know, the judges want to see that too, because if you're switching it up and you're doing different grinds, like it's completely opposite. Nice over crank on there. Pegs to, I saw him in practice sending that hard 360 out of that rail, so he just didn't get the right pop, but he's got another chance to be able to get it.
Yeah, the first part of the equation here in playoff, remember, you're just trying to make that 4 cut, so half the field moving on into final. Again, those scores get wiped clean. We do it all over again. Let's take a look at some replays here of Jordan Godwin's.
Yeah, you can see right there, that's right foot forward, and he just did 182 backwards crook. Right foot forward again. Toothpick hanger, and he went to the crank arm grind, but he's right there at the end of it, so that was a close one.
So a 66 for the first go around here for Jordan. So Felix Prangenberg sitting in that top spot right now with a 78, and now we turn our attention to Sewanee, Georgia's Devin Smiley. He has 5 total medals when it comes to X Games Street. He has 3 silver and 2 bronze. This will be his 13th on-site X Games appearance.
I've been seeing him in practice. He's been looking really good with some really creative lines. Look at that bar spin to manual.
Down the flat bar.
Going to tires across that.
Wow.
Wow, look at that. 180 backwards tires across that skinny ledge right there. Told you, you're going to see so many different original tricks from these guys. Look at that. Back to pegs. Those are switch pegs, too.
Okay.
Yeah, super creative. Like in his tricks, I love that 180 backwards over switch pegs. And like I said, his tricks are so unique, and there's so much balance in his riding, and it's super smooth. This amazing rider. He's been doing it for so long too, and to see like he's still at the top of his game.
Yeah, his first appearance goes all the way back to X Games Osaka in 2016, and we missed the podium by 1 spot, finished 4th that year. A little bit of a slower roll there, but everything was very calculated, very tech, very methodical. That was a great run for Devin Smiley.
Yeah, there's a lot of big moments there, but I love this one. Bar spin, landing in the manual on that bank, lining up for this rail right here, landing both tires, riding across that. And there you go, switch pegs to 180 bar, fakie to switch pegs, and then 180 in. Like, that's so crazy. That's nuts.
It takes a lot of energy.
So an 84.66, you can hear him say right there, it takes a lot of energy. Trying to string together 45 seconds, but judges rewarding him in the mid-80s, so that will put him ahead of Felix Prangenberg. So it's Devin Smiley in that top spot, Felix Prangenberg, and Jordan Godwin top 3 for now. Remember, the top 4 transfer on into the final. Courage Adams. He owns 2 total medals in this event, 1 silver, 1 bronze.
That was a 36-foot nose wheelie. And he's got such amazing balance. This is another one, I'm going to say it. If you go and look at the videos, there's literally a video of him doing a manual line combination that is longer than one of these runs. Like, it wouldn't fit in this run at this competition. It would go over time. Look at that, connecting it right there, dropping in, bar spin to ice pick. That's insane. Oh, nice bar spin to crooked. He's got like an answer for everything too. I know he had that one mess up on that second trick, but everything else has been amazing. Wow.
Oh, that was
no.
You know what? That was the buzzer though. The buzzer had sounded.
Yeah.
So he's in the middle of a line there, so that's
like
in the mind of the judges.
Yeah, but like when he flipped right there, it like went right into the face of that transition. So then you have their momentum coming to a stop like that. That was a tough one, especially at the end of a run when you've used all your energy. Oh, it's the last thing you want to deal with. This is how he started off, nose across to bar spin. And he's, it's safe to say, he's the best in the world at these nose wheelies. This combination was insane. Connecting that manual line to a bar spin to ice kick down that rail.
Look, it's a 74.33 despite the fall at the end. That'll put him in that number 3 spot. He's up and okay. Just a quick tending to or check-in, if you will, with the X Games medical staff to make sure he was A-okay. We bring in Kevin Peraza.
He's up on the top here.
2 total gold medals when it comes to street. He's the only rider who has ever taken gold in park, dirt, and street, and also, let's throw this one in there, park best trick as well.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. And what is he doing right now?
Up on top of the wall.
Wow, that
tailwhip
was
in to
sick.
start.
Nice.
That's
Switch
the
hanger to bar spin too. That was very technical.
That's the Kevin Peraza eye. He likes to start things off with a bang right there.
Look at he's just so aggressive on this course. Like, so many hits so far. Oh no, he survived it.
But he still saved that.
And we were talking about him in park yesterday. Like, even when the mess ups happen, they still work out somehow.
Like, if you didn't know any better, you wouldn't know that he messed up on that one, didn't dab a foot, and still rode away from it.
Unbelievable. But this run was looking really good. I know that mess up happened, but still, if he can link all this together, this is one heck of a run.
The speed that he had and the intensity that he had in the middle or in the span of that 45 seconds. Like you said, picking up where he left off yesterday in park, just even when the slip-ups happen, he still makes it look natural. Like, no big deal.
It's crazy. Like, but look at here's the start. The tail whip dropping in. That wall was so skinny up there, so he had to stay balanced and then send it. There's a switch bar down. Bringing speed to that wall ride, doing the bar spin the wall right there. But yeah, Kevin's got an all-around background, so he rides absolutely every part of BMX, and you could tell.
He's only the 2nd rider to score in the 80s, so when 80 makes sense to put him in that number 2 spot. So now it's Courage Adams who's in that number 4 spot. So that is the bubble with 2 riders left to go in the rotation here. This is round 1 out of 2 here in BMX Street playoff. The objects here, you want to be one of the top 4 moving on into the final. This gentleman right here took a gold medal in this event, coming in off the alternate list in Chiba in 2023. It's Australia's Boyd Hilder.
Wow. Love watching Boyd ride any course that he is on. He's got a style right now that is similar to Kevin, how he's bringing the speed, but he's also a very technical rider at the same time. Look at that, pegs to whip out of that rail right there. Okay, so he's bringing to the rail again. Nollie to hanger down that rail. Smith to hard 180, so many technical tricks. Like, just think about how fast he started off. Like, even doing that bar spin, the bar spin.
Yeah, there was a lot going on in just the first 30 seconds of that. So foot plant 360 to fakie, and that'll be the buzzer right there. So your 2023 Chiba Street Gold medalist coming out hot here in round number 1 of the playoff. Also ended up with a street silver medal in Ventura in 2023 as well. Had to settle for 5th in this event in Chiba last year.
But look at that hop-up manual going straight down that rail. Bar spin into the wall ride, bar spin out of the wall ride. Here's that Smith to hard 180. And then here's that foot plant. One, we saw that one already. Yeah. It's just a really cool looking trick.
You're also running out of real estate at that point when you come around that way because that wall is extremely close to the bar ends and the back wheel.
Yeah, it's very steep. You got those ledges right there, but yeah, we got another 80.
Boyd with an 83, so he'll overtake Kevin Peraza, put himself in that number 2 position. Courage Adams out of the top 4 as of now. So now Felix Prangenberg is on the bubble, but hold on, ladies and gentlemen, because you're looking at a gentleman who has been the most dominant man in the history of this event at the X Games. It's Toms River, New Jersey's Garrett Reynolds.
Oh, Garrett is just, he is, I say it every time I see him ride, I just think this dude is the most talented BMX rider of all time. And he just, it's just so crazy watching him do his thing. Look at this, like he's just carrying that momentum, just floating through there. Nice casual downside whip.
Just coming off the wall a little earlier there, a little early.
Yeah, so I was curious. He might have done that on purpose, actually. Ooh, great speed. Nice truck to flat off the top of that plexiglass.
Coming down to the final 5 seconds here for Garrett. Into the roller.
Ooh, nice tuck to ice pick. That was something that he would have done really early on, probably when he got like one of his first gold medals.
So you need better than a 78 to get into the top 4 here at the end of round number 1. Devin Smiley sitting in the top spot. Your 2023 Chiba gold medalist. Boyd Hilder sitting in that number 2 spot. Kevin Peraza sitting in 3rd. Let's take a look back at Garrett's first round run.
Yeah, so here we go up top, getting that speed for this big truck driver. Sending it to flat, not using any of that transition. Yeah.
What do you think that little hand movement was all about?
I can't interpret that. That's something new he's been working on, I think.
So what's it going to be here? So Garrett's going to check in with an 80 as well, 82. So Felix Prangenberg gets bumped out to that number 5 spot. So that puts Kevin Peraza on that transfer bubble. So 1 round in the books. We get to go back up to the top of the order and do it all over again. Devin Smiley, Boyd Hilder, Garrett Reynolds, Kevin Peraza, your top 4. Remember, best run that counts. Half of the field moving on into the final. Well, what a great job on this course here. The guys from California Skate Parks and the job that they do. And they got their work cut out for them because when they wrap up here, they got to turn around and actually, those guys, all the athletes have to turn around and make a quick turnaround to Salt Lake City because we do this all over again as the X Games moves to Utah for the first time next weekend, Scotty.
Oh, it's such a cool opportunity to go from back to back like that. Just have a full X Games week. I know all the riders are so amped up on it. And and just think about like what happened in Park yesterday. All the riders survived. Everybody's looking good. They're going to go into this one with a ton of momentum. So this is going to be epic.
Okay, so we'll see who's going to get those 4 spots. We know the rankings for now.
There's a rim right there. Gold medalist from yesterday.
What a performance out of him yesterday. Takes gold in his home country. Speaking of the home country, this young man coming in off of the alternate list and finds himself at 14 years young here in the X Games. It's Sosuke Hayata.
Oh, look at that. So smooth, so controlled, and that's why he got the following that he does on Instagram. He absolutely loves BMX. He's obsessed with the style aspect of it, puts so much focus on that, and you could tell. Nice pegs and hopping up over the rail right there. That was really cool. There's the 540 he messed up on, and he got it in run number 2. That was clean as well. So he's coming towards the end of the run. Nice 540 air on the quarter pipe. Ooh, pegs a hard 180. Just landed a little bit nosedive right there at the end. That's a hard trick to do at the end of your run, but you got to be so psyched to be able to ride in front of everybody here. That's amazing.
What a great story. You go on this whole adventure. You get to go ride and film with Felix for the entire week. You're here. You get to ride with all these people that you've lived for so long.
Yeah, your idol's your guardian.
Yeah, and then last minute you find yourself in the event. 14.
Yeah, so look at this right here, grinding up, and he's leaning over and pulled up and over the rail right there. That was cool.
So he will improve the first run score, but will stay in 8th place. However, Sosuke, welcome to the X Games. 14 years old, Scotty, youngest BMX rider ever to compete at the X Games.
Look at Felix, he's such a proud guardian.
Well, now he's got some work to do.
He does.
He was in the top 4. He's 1 spot out right now. You need better than an 80.66 if you're going to escape the playoff and move on into the final.
He's got the tricks, there's no doubt about it. Just got to make it all come together right now. I like that fast plant to over ice pick on that rail. 540 bar spin, keeping that momentum going. Oh, fakey up, nice, keeping it going right there. Awesome, fast plant 360 fakey. Love that trick. Oh no, it didn't work out. That toothpick to hard 180 is so crazy. Such a hard move. Oh, that was so clean though to get that nollie fakey off of there. That's a tricky one to do. It's something that he's known for as well.
Squeaks in one more there at the buzzer. That'll do it for Felix Prangenberg. 4 total medals overall. He's got 3 street silvers. He also owns a real BMX gold.
So here's that 180 where he was connecting over to that bank. Cut right back over. That's a really steep bank at the bottom there. But this was definitely one of my favorite ones. There's that nollie, full cab down.
So no, the score is not going to improve, so he's going to stay in that 5th place spot, so he is not going to edge his way into the final. If you're just joining us, you see that yellow line, that's the bubble. Only the top 4 out of the playoff transfer on into that final. Jordan Godwin back in, currently sitting in 7th place right now with a first run score of 66.
Nice creative hit right there, going from that plexiglass to that down rail. Nollie to feeble. Switch toothpick hanger. Nice over crank arm grind. Got good momentum in this run. Okay, there we go. That 180 backwards crook again. Oh, that's what he needed last time around. He couldn't get that one. Oh, he's got to finish with a good one right here. Nice, hard 180. That's a full pull, man. He's got to feel really good about that. Playoffs are stressful, man.
I was going to say, where do you, looking at that 80.66 on the bubble there to get into 4th, where would you rank this?
It's going to be right there, because in my opinion, when on a street setup like this, he did so many technical street tricks. Like when you think about all the big tricks that he did, it's a high gamble. Like a lot of the riders that are above him, like, well, Kevin and Boyd, they brought a lot of speed, but his rail tricks were definitely real special. So I'm really curious to see what the judges put him in. That's going to tell a lot moving forward with this competition.
Okay, so it's got to be better than an 80.66 to overtake that 4th place spot. So an 86.66, not only is it good enough to get into the top 4, that puts him on the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, because I didn't feel comfortable fully saying it, like, because like you have 2 different styles, right? Like this is a street competition, and those were gnarly street tricks. So I get it 100%, but I didn't want to say it. I'm not going to step up and be the judge like that, but I will reward him though. I knew what he was doing on the rails were gnarly.
Your 2023 Nora Cup Street Rider of the Year finds himself in the top spot. That bumps Kevin Peraza down into 5th place. As Devin Smiley now sits in number 2nd, he is on number 2 position. He is now on the course for his 2nd and final run.
I mean, so Devin's in 2nd, which is pretty good. But like he messed up that first link, the one that he got, the one I was freaking out about last time. Crazy that he get that 2 times in a row. That's insane. But it goes back to the different styles here, right? Like you can see how fast Boyd and Kevin were flying around the course, and Devin, he's just a technician, slow. The stuff he does really relies on balance. And it's definitely 2 different ways to ride the bike. Oh, that looks so good.
So interesting, when I mentioned Kevin Peraza got bumped out of the top 4. He's coming up in 2 riders here. That also puts Garrett Reynolds on the bubble right now with that 82.
Wow. Look at that. That was a cool angle showing that 180 backwards to tires across that. Very technical. So right here, feeble up, 180 to tires, and then full cab. So smooth, so controlled.
So he's going to stick with that first run score, keep him in that number 2 spot. So you have 2 riders left to go of our final 4 that are on the outside of that transfer bubble looking in. Courage Adams currently sits in 7th. Remember, he took a bit of a hit at the end, right at the buzzer. He was in the middle of a line when the buzzer sounded, but then ended up taking a pretty good hit at the end of it.
Oh, he did it again. That's insane. That was the trick he messed up on in run 1, and he got that huge score. So if he can keep this going, he is definitely going to compete for that top spot. Nice switch hanger to bar spin. Here's that manual line, bar to drop manual, to bar spin to ice pick grind. Smith hard 180. Man, he's only got 12 seconds left. He's looking so good. Bar spin to a crooked grind.
Down to the final 5 right now.
Yeah, so I mean, this is where he had that crash at earlier.
Go manual, that's 36 feet worth of plexiglass there with a bar 180.
That was a heck of a run,
okay.
That was huge. That was a serious run.
This is gonna get interesting, people.
Yeah, so like I don't want to be the judge, but like what he just did, there was so many moments in there that you were like, that's not possible. You shouldn't be able to do that first try. And like starting off with this one, 36 feet across, doing a nose creeping to bar spin, like that's slow. There's that Smith, the hard 180 on that ledge right there. And this is what he finished with. This is the one that took him out, where he crashed in that transition. 180 bar spin, perfectly clean this time around. He knows it too. Okay,
it's got to be 82.01 or better to get in. We saw Mr. Godwin jump to the top of the leaderboard here this round 2. That is Garrett Reynolds. He gets to ride last. So he's in that transfer spot, the bubble transfer spot. Wow! Courage Adams with a 90.
Wow.
A 90.
Yeah, I had
Over
a feeling it was going to be big.
Ahead of the field.
Yeah, it was next level. Everything worked. That was crazy.
Now, Boyd Hilder's now on that bubble spot. So Kevin Peraza now finds himself in 6th, Garrett Reynolds in 5th, and the last 3 to go are Kevin, then Boyd, who's now on the bubble, and then Garrett, who gets to ride last to answer back. Kevin Peraza going to start it off again from the top of this wall.
Whoa, he just did a switch downside tail whip. That is different than run number 1. Oh, his hand fell off, and he just kept it going. Typical Kevin Peraza, just like we were talking about before.
That is literally the width of a 2x4 up there. That is it.
Oh,
he's just perched on that thing. Oh no, Kevin Peraza slides out.
Yeah, he was like, it was one of those things where we joke about it sometimes, like Final Destination crash, where like you're avoiding one, and it's like you're carrying that momentum to the next one, and yeah, he slid out right there. Nice. Wow. That was so sick.
Off of that wall, right, to bounce out 180 like that.
Man, it's always rough when you don't see a rider like Kevin not be able to get another chance on the course, but man, what he just did, there was some really impressive stuff there. And starting off with this.
That's a 2x4 up there that he's riding on. He was barely any room for his tires on his left foot.
Oh, it's insane. But like, this is where things started going wrong. Tires, he wanted to get the bar spin, couldn't. and then he had to refocus, and that's when he had the crash right after that.
He was still smiling throughout all of that, so that's the key factor right there. And the good news is he'll get to do this all over again in about 5-6 days. I believe actually Street is first up for BMX on Friday night when we get to Salt Lake City, so he'll get to re-rack and do this all over again. So Boyd Hilder, gold medalist in 2023 here in Japan, we were in Chiba. He's now on the bubble, and you want to give yourself some breathing room with a guy like Garrett Reynolds still to go behind you.
Jimmy just embarks into war at the whip. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I guess if Garrett is the one that's behind you on that one, you gotta bring out the big tricks. So far so good though. He's really upped the ante from run number 1. Nice toothpick hanger 180. Oh, nollie to toothpick hanger. It seemed like he almost hung up on that, but he pulled it fine though.
Just under the last 10 seconds to go here for Boyd.
Oh, he does the gap to over double peg on that. That was sick.
Popped
that
out
was a good run.
Couple of seconds left, but I don't think that.
Yeah, if it was
that
park,
damaging.
Yeah, if it was park, you know, that's a problem. Street, I don't think it's nearly as bad, especially when you're gonna end like he did. But yeah, like this is just a filler right here. This toothpick hanger to 180. But look at this gap over double pegs on that rail. That's really cool. Nice creative line.
So he's a full point ahead of Garrett for now. But again, being in that number 4 spot with a guy like Garrett still to ride last and only 4 of you moving on into the final, it's not a comfortable spot to be. So he's thinking, hey, hopefully I can climb the ladder right here and earn myself a spot in that final.
That's scary.
But how about Courage Adams here in this second round? So 83.33, so it'll give him a little over 3/10 of a point improvement. Improves the score a little bit, not the placing, so he gets to ride this one out.
Yeah, barely an upgrade. You can see his face on that one. He's like,
Exactly?
I know I did a lot better stuff than I did my first time around.
He was less than enthused with that score, I would say, judging from that reaction. So it all comes down to this. Before we get into the final, this is just for the right to get a spot in the Final Four. It's Garrett Reynolds.
Yeah, listen, he's been in positions like this before. Look at that, nollie bars into ice pig.
Fast he spun the bars and locked into that.
I mean, that's been what he's been known for since the beginning, with fast bar spins. But so far so good. He's got so many different tricks so far, and he's actually upped the ante. So you can see right there, he's doing that bar spin to wall ride. It's almost like he's just using it as a turnaround. Oh, that was cool. Nice gap to 180 backwards crook, 180.
Coming down to the final 10 seconds up to the plexiglass.
Nice truck driver again.
Final couple of seconds, and that is going to be the buzzer there.
Yeah, so there was some big moments there. This is gonna be close. And judging by the way, I'm just gonna go out here. If I had to say, judging by the way they're scoring the guys that are doing more technical tricks, like Garrett could be right there where he's gonna sneak past Boyd. There's a possibility.
I think it's going to be that close.
Yeah, so he had a lot of really cool moments in there, and he definitely upped the ante from run number 1. Here's that big truck driver again to flat, traveling all the way across there. And this was at the end of the run. This is how he finished it. So bar spin, 2 double peg grind on that rail, and then right into a truck to fakie.
Okay, now we play the score game. Look at Boyd. He's back there looking. It's like, where do I see the board?
Yeah.
83.33 is what he has holding him on to that. Oh, and you called it, just a couple of tenths of a point. Garrett Reynolds is going to eclipse him with an 84 flat. That is a tough break for Boyd right there. But Garrett Reynolds has done it again at 0 hour to get himself, and this is just to get in to compete for a right to be on the podium.
Oh, man.
But he's going to have to go first, which is, again, territory that we're not used to seeing Garrett in when it comes to BMX Street.
Yeah.
Because we run them in reverse order as to how they qualified.
And also, we got a pretty quick turnaround, too, and he was looking like he needed a second, too, so that's going to come into play.
Wow, so Courage Adams, after taking a pretty heavy slam there at the end of his first run, comes back in round 2 and blasts into the 90s to put himself in the top spot, and by virtue of that, he is going to be the last to ride when we get into the final. But this gentleman right here making it a very exciting finish yet again on his last run, squeaks in and gets the last spot in the final.
Yeah, so we saw so much amazing riding so far, and I know these guys they have more tricks ready to go. It's gonna get crazy, man. This is gonna be a good one.
So the final is set. Your 14-time street gold medalist is gonna have to go first. Courage Adam gets to ride last. Who's getting the gold? We'll find out when we return to Osaka.
Is the place to be.
Welcome to the party.
Oh my goodness, Kobe Raha. Oh.
Arissa Trill.
Kevin Peraza.
Is Nigel Houston about to make history? The answer is yes.
Shout out X Games. We love y'all.
Well, that is coming up in less than a week. It's next Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the first time ever in Salt Lake City. But here today, inside the Kyocera Dome at X Games Osaka 2025, we still have some business to take care of. We have taken the field from 8 down to 4 here in the BMX Street Playoff, and now we move on into the final. So it's Garrett Reynolds right there, 14 street gold medals, 16 total X Games medals to his name. He got that last spot, so he's gonna have to ride first here. Devin Smiley was your 3rd place qualifier, so he'll go next. Jordan Godwin ends up jumping into that number 2 qualifier spot. And then, of course, it's Courage Adams. And run number 2, Scotty, he grabbed that 90 flat and earned the right to ride last to try to claim X Games gold.
It was absolutely epic, and I know that they have more tricks ready to go for this final. This is going to be really cool to see what they do.
Well, everyone in this final, they have some street hardware. Of course, Garrett, with those 14 gold, he's got 2 silver and 4 bronze, so 20 total for him. Devin's got 3 silvers and 2 bronze for 5 total. Jordan's got a street silver, and then Courage has a silver and a bronze. So everybody in this final has been on the podium when it comes to BMX Street here in the history of the X Games. But we started off with Mr. Reynolds here. Finally broke the record at 16 total gold medals. For his last gold medal appearance in street, he surpassed Sean White. He was tied with him at 15 and surpassed it last year at X Games Chiba.
Well, Garrett's changing things up already. He did bar spin to manual on that rail instead of the bar spin to ice pick. I love how he's carving over and hitting that downside whip and just going straight back into his line. Yeah, so he's doing that bar spin to wall ride as the turnaround every single time so far. Bringing some speed. Nice tail whip to flat. Mixing it up from that truck driver. Switch whip. Ooh, it looks like he was going to try something into that rail right there.
So at about the halfway point of this round, I don't know if you saw it, he kind of made a grimace after hopping off of one of those rails. He kind of made a bit of a face as he was coming across the course.
Ooh, yeah, there's a chance he could be battling with something right there. But it's still, I mean, he's riding at such a high level, it's hard to say. Nice technical line through there. Here's that tail whip he did off to flat. Right there, you know, his feet were finding the crank arms a little bit more instead of the pedals, but didn't look like there was anything too bad there, like physically. So nothing from what I can tell, but.
Feeling a little winded after that one. So an 83.66, again, like you mentioned before we went to break, it's a pretty tight turnaround there from playoff into final. So again, the scores from that playoff are erased. We started all over again, running reverse orders to how they qualified. So Garrett sets the bar here with a gentleman making his 13th on-site X Games appearance. Devin Smiley, 3 silvers in street, 2 bronze for 5 total medals.
Here's that line, he's locked in. 2 tires, perfect that time around. Once again, locking in that 180 backwards tires across that skinny ledge. Pegs, 180 bar, 2 switch pegs back over. What a cool line. And And this one too, I love how he's doing that 180 backwards over switch pegs, 180 out. Ooh, nice popping that half cab out.
Coming down to the last couple of seconds.
Yes, a very similar run to what he actually did in the playoffs. Getting one on board right there. Could be a very strategic move, actually, because, you know, there's times where the riders, you know you're in finals, you're like, I want to go for my dream run. And sometimes you get a little lost in that one. It's good to get a solid run down like that. But still, when I say solid run, like what he just did right there, it's the fact that he's landed that as many times as he has is absolutely insane. But right here, he was actually doing full cab out in the playoff, and he just did the half cab right there. So.
Okay, so Garrett had an 83.67. Devin's going to get an 88.66.
That was a huge score on that one.
That would have been good enough for the #2 spot coming out of the playoffs. So Devin definitely up in the ante here. Jordan Godwin, your Ventura BMX Street silver medalist from June of last year.
Nice gap to pegs again. Such a technical rider. Nice nollie to feeble, switch hanger. Using both sides of the bike on the pegs.
A lot going on in the first 15 seconds
yeah,
here.
He's using a very similar line that he's been doing in the playoffs as well, which is super smart. I mean, the judges rewarded him so well. As long as he can add on to that, you know, maybe do another technical rail trick like he has, that's all he needs. And he's got it again. That hanger crank arm 180. Nice over crank arm on there. And perfect timing again. So that was a very strategically done run right there for run #1. He's popping up over right there. T-bog over the rail, switching his feet, see that? And then switch. So he's doing the hanger, and then he's going to the crank arm with the right foot. And he rides left foot forward all the time, so it's just crazy, really technically. See, left foot forward right here. So that would be like the normal way he would do things. So crazy technical, and that's why the judges are rewarding him for it.
So an 86.33 for him, so that'll slide him into silver for now. Garrett Reynolds will slide down to that bronze position, so 88.66, 86.33, and an 83.66. And to take us out of round 1 of 2 here in the final, it's your top qualifier. Remember, he posted up a 90 in that playoff round. So it's Courage Adams. He has a silver and 1 bronze to his name when it comes to street at the X Games. Look at this nose manual to bar out to start it off.
3 times in a row now. Oh, he put the foot down again on that one. Oh, bummer. But like earlier though, he did a run still after he had that mess up, and it was still got a really good score, all things considered. And he had that crash at the end. So, I mean,
yeah,
if he has the endurance, you send it, you know, try to get one on the board. You never know, honestly. And so far, so good. Look at, he's corrected everything. He looks so solid on the bike. Nice bar spin to crooked grind.
Time for one more before that buzzer. Begin his line before the horn.
Yep, does the same trick, and he pulls it again. So everything but that 180 bar spin to backlash, like wrapping around on that quarter pipe.
Yeah, I would imagine that when you get into the line, you're in the middle of a line before the buzzer sounds, and then the buzzer sounds, they let you finish that out, and that will count.
Yeah, that makes sense to me too. But yeah, look at this. Here's that manual hop bar spin to manual, going in bar spin to ice pick grind down that rail, and then the Smith Hard 180 across that, which is still an awesome trick.
Now we wait before we go into round 2, and 85.33, so he will overtake Garrett Reynolds, so that'll put him in the medals.
So just like I said, when he had that mess up, it's like, if you have the endurance, go for it, especially when you're riding as good as him, because look at that, puts him in a medal position already.
So Devin Smiley sitting in the top spot at the end of the first round. They only get 2 here in the final. So this is the last round of runs. We go back up to the top with Garrett Reynolds, 45 seconds on the clock. Best run that counts. Can he jump back up into the medals here?
Yeah, so, and those first 2 hits are so technical that he's done already. That nollie to bars from the ice pick grind, at 540, so consistent. I said this before, like, I love how he's going to this downside whip. He's got so many hits already on the course, like an answer for everything he approaches. So this is going to be big. 180 bar spin to backwards crooked grind. He's only done the 180 to backwards crooked grind. Tail up to flat again. So this is definitely an upgrade. He's got to finish strong though right here.
Got with the last couple of seconds here.
Oh, tuck the header to ice pick grind. That was some old Garrett Reynolds stuff right there, but you can see he's wore out.
Yeah, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna lay here on the corner, take a little nap.
Yeah, I think he's battling something. I think, you know, he might be coming off of an injury. He might be dealing with an injury. But still, I mean, just think about it. And even if that is the case, if I am right by speculating that, which it all is speculation, he's still riding at such a high level. It's insane.
That just, you know, speaks to the grit and determination that is Garrett Reynolds. Like I said, first run, he had a little bit of a grimace in the middle of that run. That either didn't like something or was maybe trying to shake something off physically. I don't know. We'll have to ask him when we get to Utah, Scotty.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, but this is definitely an upgrade over the first run. Oh,
he gets in with an 87. He goes from 4th all the way up to 2nd, so that's going to put him just behind Devin Smiley. So Garrett Reynolds, you called it an upgrade, and it is just that. So that'll put him in a silver 4 now, and that'll bump Courage out in that number 4 spot, which, remember, Courage is going to get to ride last. So this just got real interesting, ladies and gentlemen.
This is going to get good.
Okay, your current leader, Devin Smiley. Like I said at the first run, 5 total medals, 3 silver, 2 bronze. Can he possibly hang on and get his first ever BMX Street gold?
So far, so good. Okay, he's got to get something, make an addition. I want to see something different. I want to see him. All right, so far, so good. Locking into that one. I tried to be quiet on there. I hate like trying to talk over and like figured let that one play out while he's getting that link. Love this line though. I love his approach to the course. Love his style of his tricks. I want to see him get something big at the end right here and try to really, you know, solidify that top spot when you have all these guys. Nice pegs to no-hander. Crank arm hopping over again. So yeah, another similar run to what he did the first time around. But the truth is, if I'm going to be honest, he did get the full cab off. So it's almost like they, you know, there's a couple things that you could go back and forth on between the runs, but like he did upgrade that run and he's already in goal position. So the bar spin to manual, connecting over to the tires, down that square rail. But yeah, right here where he does his fakie and then he does that full cab out, that 360 fakie, he only did a half cab out and he's got that gold medal score. So I'm curious to see how the judges are going to see this, what they saw compared to the first one.
He was a little over 1.5 points ahead of Garrett.
There we go.
Wow, a 90. So remember, saw Courage Adams get a 90 in the playoff in order to be here in the final and ride in that number 1 spot. So now Devin Smiley has put himself in with a 90. He was already in the lead, but that is some very welcome breathing room for him with that score of 90. As I said, he owns 3 silvers and 2 bronze. He would love to walk out of Osaka with a gold. It comes down to our last 2 runs. Jordan Godwin, looking at a possible medal here, sits in that bronze spot with an 86.33.
Yeah, so Jordan, he's got a great base for his run. Not like a feeble, going for that switch hanger right there as well. And there's a crank arm with the left crank that time. So I'm just going to point that out for everybody that's watching, because if he continues a similar setup, you'll notice that he's going to be doing crank arm with the right crank. So just to be able to go back and forth like that is insane. Such a hard trick. Yep, there you go. There is the tooth hanger to right crank arm grind to 180. Nice, he's got that hard 3 at the buzzer. That is an upgrade, so the judges are forced to give him a higher score on this one. There's no other answer. Everything was super clean and he did a great job. Nice little turn down into the bank right there. Yeah, but right here you can see hanger, right crank arm to 180 out. So technical. And then this is how he finished right here. This pegs to hard 360. And he's only been doing hard 180 all day. And he's got the score that he did, so.
So now it's in the hands of the judges. Oh, an 87.66, a little over a half a point ahead of Garrett Reynolds. So that puts Jordan Godwin in the silver. Now this just got into a completely different layer of interesting because with one more rider left to go, Garrett's now on that bubble.
Yep,
Garrett's only missed the podium one time. He's taken 21 medals and 21 starts here at the X Games. He earned the first 19 medals consecutively. So now he's looking at another bronze potentially, but it comes down to what this gentleman can do in the span of these next 45 seconds. Courage Adams, your top qualifier. He gets to answer last.
4 times he's got that trick. It's insane. All right, that's the trick that took him out in the first 2 runs, actually, that he did in playoff and finals. So if he can get this going, this is going to be a huge score, and he can easily get on that top of that podium. Nice switch hanger to bar spin. Manual, hot bar to manual to bar to ice pick. So far, so good.
Gotta hang on for 15 more seconds.
Yeah, but we all know how he ends this run. It's a banger, so this is what it's going to come down to, Jimmy. This is going to decide it.
Okay, there we go. Manual.
And he's got it. He's got it.
And that is going to do it. There is the buzzer. Courage Adams puts it together. Last run, last guy to ride in the run order.
And that was the cleanest one that he did. I think everything that he did in that run was so clean. Everything was executed so well, so.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, 4 times he did that. That impossible trick 4 times in a row. But this is the one that took him out in the first run of the finals, and he got it that time. So just think about that. He got an 85 with that mess up. This could be a huge score right here. And this is the one that he finished off with, the manual across. Getting that 180 bar spin into that steep, skinny bank right there.
What is the score going to be? You need better than an 87 to jump into the medals. You need better than a 90 flat if you're going to overtake the top spot. Devin Smiley sits in that top spot. And is it going to be enough? And it is! Courage Adams with a 91.33, the highest single score that we saw in the playoff or this final. And that man right there just took home X Games gold at BMX Street and put his name on a very, very short list of individuals that have ever taken gold in this event. Also on the history front, that's only the 2nd time that Garrett Reynolds has ever missed a BMX Street podium at the X Games.
Just barely too. So close.
Originally from Nigeria, he now calls Spain home. The last time an athlete from Spain won gold, you got to go back to X Games Aspen in 2020. Snowboard superpipe, it was Corot Castellet.
Wow. That is insane. But man, when you're doing runs, tricks like this in your run consistently, like this is just next level stuff. It was flawless. Everything he did in this run was so good, and he picked the perfect time to be able to deliver it. What a banger. What an amazing day riding for Courage.
Here's another insane stat. We started doing street, you got to go back to LA in 2008. In the time span of this event, He's only the 7th guy to have ever taken a gold in BMX Street. How crazy is that?
That really is nuts.
That's what I was talking about. It's a very, very short list of people that have taken gold. So he's got 1 silver, 1 bronze, and now a gold. So Courage Adams now has the trifecta when it comes to X Games golds.
Thank you. That was sick. Do you want to get your pat on the podium? Oh, yeah.
I mean, to be the top qualifier, to be in the bottom, because out of these 4, only 1 person doesn't get to make it to the podium. You're at the bottom of the pack, and you get to come in and ride last, and you claim the gold in that final run. That was huge, Scotty.
Yeah, that's the dream scenario right there, to be the last one to decide whether or not you are going to be the one that gets to do their best run when it counts. And that's the dream scenario, and he stepped up, and man, he is going to have an amazing night hanging out with all these guys.
Courage has a street silver from 2023, a street bronze from 2024, and here in Osaka in 2025, he takes home the shiniest medal of them all. Courage Adams claiming X Games BMX Street gold in Osaka.